Welcome to Low to Pro, Notifications Plus. Now in this one, I'm going to show you 3 ways to add notifications to your application, whether it be global notifications, form level notifications, or if you want to be really cool about it, in-app notifications, like this one. These are all things that can be brought in by taking your applications from low code to pro code. So let's go ahead and jump right in with our first one. Let's start with global notifications. Now for global notifications, what we want is to be able to, well, globally notify things. I want my users, if they start out on one screen, to see a notification that carries across screens, regardless of whatever the context of that current screen is. So let's go ahead and play my current little demo app. Now in this demo app, if I start out on the account screen, I automatically get a global notification. And no matter where I go, if I go into my account record, if I go to contacts, appointments, this global notification will carry across different screens. Now, when it comes to global notifications, there are 4 main types of notifications we're going to be working with. Level 1, which is going to be a success notification. Level 2, and I have to open this up so that way we can see it, which is going to be our error notification. Level 3, which is going to be our warning notification. And lastly, we have level 4. And level 4 is going to be our, there it is, information notification. These 4 notifications can provide information to your users across the different areas of your application, whether or not it is a success, a warning, a information, or some sort of error. So if I go back to my account screen and I refresh this real quick, we can see here that I have one global notification that goes off saying, hey, welcome to the application. Now, how did I get this done? There are 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the manual way, but there is another tool you can use called XRM Toolbox to do the following. Now, what I have done is I have exported a solution with just one table inside of it, my account table. And here is what we would need to do. I'm going to pull this over. This is the customization file for a solution. Now, don't worry too much about what it is and what it does and how everything works. All you need to know is this is how we are going to be able to add items to our solutions that aren't necessarily going to be easily visible. So in this file, here's what you'll need to change. Now, keep in mind, if you have multiple tables in this file, it might work a little bit differently, but for this one, I'm just working with my account table. Now, in this table, I'm gonna right click and, I was hoping it would let me format the document, but it's not letting me do that, which is totally fine. Now I have a few different areas that I'm going to be working in. The first area that I'm going to be working in is over here on line 35 for me. It might be different for you. It just depends on how you're setting up your code. So lines 34 through 38. This is what I'm using to essentially fire off a function inside my code library. I have an enable rule for a button, and what it does is it has a custom rule tied to it. Now for a custom rule, all it does is it uses some of the script you've written rather than Microsoft scripts to determine whether or not to enable a function. So for me, I wanted to use the custom rule of my load global notification. Now, typically with a custom rule, this will evaluate a yes or a no, but I actually wanted to kind of hijack that and allow it to load my global notification instead. So for this global notification, I have my other code here, and here it is. I need to provide 3 things to my custom rule. They're all parameters and they're all going inside of one object, which we're going to pass to it. I need to know the level of the notification, 1 through 4, the message for the notification, and whether or not the notification is dismissible. Now, if we go into our customization file again, I have my custom rule, which references a function, my PW load a profile, which is my code, and the specific function load global notification. Now, one thing you might want to change is going to be the library that this is pointing towards. Now here on line 35, the only thing you're going to need to change potentially is this library that it's pointing to here. Now this library is going to be referencing the solution file for the web resource that I'm going to be giving to you guys, which is essentially just the package of JavaScript. Now, if you are just going to take that JavaScript, put it into your own web resource, there's one thing you have to keep in mind. You need to change this library location to whatever web resource you're using. If you're not comfortable changing those things, do not worry. All you need to do is just upload the solution file and this will already be set for you. Now, if you want to change what this string parameter is going to be, which is going to have your message level, whether or not it's dismissible, all of that, on line 36 for me, you're gonna wanna change where it says, welcome to the application, change this number from 1 to 4, and dismissible is either gonna be true or false. It's a yes, no question. Do you wanna be able to dismiss the notifications, or do you want them to sit at the top of your phone and just kind of sit there, and if you're like, you'll swipe it away or you click at it to like make it go away, it won't go away, that sort of thing. But if you do wanna have your notifications as dismissible, you just set it as true, or you put it as false. Really, it's up to you. Now, once you have this, just rezip your file and import your solution. In a moment here, you should see once it's imported and fully done, when you go into your application, regardless of which one it is, it's going to have this global notification. Now you can add some code to this and specify how and when you want to do it, but just to keep it nice and simple, this is what it's going to do. For all model-driven apps that you're using the account table, this is what happens when you open to the account table. So that is global notifications. We can set these up however we want to, but the next thing that I want to focus on are going to be our form notifications. Now, form notifications are fairly simple. They don't exist in the context of, well, globally, they only exist in the context of the form. So if I go into my form here, and I'm going to just go ahead and put a test account, and then for my details, I'm gonna set credit hold to yes. Now, this is going to add a form notification. You can see the difference between form notifications and global notifications. If I were to collapse the menu, the form notification only exists in the boundaries of the form versus the global notification, which exists everywhere. So, how do I set this up? How are we building all this? What do we do? Let's go into our form here. All right. Now I'm inside my model-driven app. I'm going to go to my Loader Pro demo form. Now I have a couple things already set up on this. Do not worry if you don't have these things set up already, it's a-okay. On my form, what I have is first a form library of the notification plus code that I'm going to give to you guys. And I also have a couple of things set up on my save and load, as well as on my, make this bigger so it sits how it's supposed to, on my credit hold field. Now, to make that form notification pop up for the credit hold field, what I wanna do is I'm gonna go to the events tab over here on the right, and I am going to add a new handler to this. So let's pretend that I'm starting from scratch. I wanna do this actually on, let's say, credit limit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on the right to my events tab and add an event handler. Make sure to set your library to the PW notifs plus JS file that's provided to you, or whatever code library you have set up. So in this, I need to reference a specific function. Now in my code here, I have a function here, this add form notif for value. Basically, if it has a value, do this thing. So if my field has a value of whatever my target is, then I'm gonna use this notifications options, which is gonna look similar to line 53 here, to build out and display a notification. Now, if that field doesn't have that value, it's just going to wipe it out. So let's do this. I'm gonna reference my PW low to pro, and this is gonna be one of the actions. And this one is called, again, add form notif notif for value. Awesome. And as always, pass your execution context. Just slide it in there. You really do need it. Now for my parameters, I want to provide the value of if my credit limit is exactly 2,000, then I need to provide it with the notifications options. So I added my value, put a comma since I'm going to move to the next parameter. And this one is going to be a set of curly brackets. Now, I am going to provide a markdown file as well as a solution file. So that way, if need be, you can kind of just copy paste over what these are supposed to look like. So I know that for this, I need to provide it with a message. Now this message is going to be, this account has a high credit limit. Okay. Now with form notifications, there is a different set of levels that are used instead of 1 through 4 to give you different options. Really, you have 3 of them. You have a information, you have a warning, or you have an error. Those are the 3 types you get, and all you need to do to pass in that level is put level, add your colon, and you're going to do, let's say for this one, I want this to be an error message. Let's say like on a new account, they can't have a really high credit limit. They have to have a credit limit that's, you know, a better number than that. Let's say like $50. I don't know. But I want this to be an error, so it's gonna be error, just like that, all capitals. For information, it's just going to be info, all capitals. And then for your warnings, it's going to just be warnings in all capitals. And I'll show you those when we get into the form. Now, the very last thing that you do actually have to provide is you have to give your form notification a name. Why? Because if you need to remove this notification, you have to have some way to reference to it. It is required. You can name it whatever you want. I don't care if you name it Billy Bob Bumpkus. You can put whatever name you want to put there, but it has to have a name. So for the name of mine, I'm going to call it limit underscore notif. Simple enough. And I'm going to add a closing curly bracket to finish off my second parameter. All right, so I'm going to hit done here, and I'm going to save and publish and watch a circle spin. To set up your form level notifications, all you have to do is choose your field. Now I'm going to choose the account name, and what I want to do is go over to the events tab, and on change, what I'm going to do is I am going to reference my PW Load-A-Pro actions. Move your mouse out of the way so you can see and spell. Add form notification, or form notif rather, for value. Passing your execution context. Click the button. Thank you. Great. So for this, what I'm going to do is I want to say if my account name is exactly equal to test, then I want to set my notification. All right. In quotes, or double quotes rather, I'm putting the word test. And then for my notification, all I want it to say for my message, this is a test account. I'm going to set my level at error. So I'm going to set my level at one of 3 options. We have info, warning, and error. Now, what are the difference between the 3 of them? Really just color. For info, it's gray. For warning, it's kind of like a yellowy orange. And then for error, it is like a pinkish red. So for my level of error, I need to do one last thing. Now, name your form notifications. You have to provide them a name. Otherwise, if we need to remove it, we have no way of removing it. So I don't care what you name it. I don't care how you name it. Just name it something, anything. Really, just anything. So I'm going to name it anything and put a closing curly bracket afterwards to finish off my notification object. All right, make sure you pass your execution context as the first parameter, hit done, and then save and publish. And watch a circle spin. All right, I'm going to switch over to my test area, empty my cache and hard reload. Wait nice and patiently. All right, so I'm gonna set this to exactly test. And I get my notification here that this is a test account. Now, if I go into details, my credit limit, I have to switch it back to no because I haven't done one final thing. If I set it to yes, I get 2 notifications now that this account has a credit hold and that it's a test account. So why aren't these warnings popping up right when you load up the form? Because we haven't set for it to do that, but we'll come back to that in a second here. Now, there's really only one type of notification we haven't seen yet, at least in the form context. We have our info level notification. This is what it looks like. So these are your 3 options. You have error, which is this top one. You have warning, all capitals, which is this middle one, and then info, which is our gray and last one. Now, whatever you put in, it just has to be in all capitals, and it should make contextual sense. So that way, things can make sense. All right, now let's do one last thing. Now, I've shown you 2 different types of notifications here, but there is one last kind that I haven't shown you, the in-app notifications. For the in-app notifications, we have to do just one more thing in our form. Now, I want there to be a in-app notification whenever a record is saved. Now for these toast notifications, we're gonna set it up so that way on save, it provides a notification. Yes, technically you get a notification where it just says, it's been saved, but I wanna customize it just a little bit more. So in that case, I'm gonna set this up so that way on save, it provides me with the notification. Can you set this up for a ton of other uses? Absolutely. However, this is gonna be the easiest example to show you so you can just get your toes dipped in. Now, if you are interested in learning how to set your in-app notifications to other things, maybe you wanna do it for when a specific area is triggered or when a specific field is clicked yes, no, whatever. We do have something called virtual mentoring. Now, that's where I can jump in with you on one-on-one if you book with me, and I can help you with your code and show you how to set up form notifications and app notifications for your specific use case. But for this one, we're gonna stick with an example. If you're interested in virtual mentoring hours, check out the link in the description, which will take you to, well, virtual mentoring. Well, now back to the plot. So for our in-app notification, I need to set up on my demo form one quick thing. So I'm gonna remove this. I'm actually gonna copy what's in here. Done. And I'm gonna go ahead and just delete this. Ace, why did you copy that down? What do you have? Why are you running away with those fun codes in your hand? Well, that's because it's just really an object. All I wanted to do was to be able to put in this text here, and I'll set this as JSON real quick. So that way we can see it. This is all I copied down. Now, this is going to be what we use to send app notifications. Now, there are a couple things you have to do before you can actually receive app notifications. Now, this whole time, technically, I should have been receiving app notifications because this has been active this entire time. However, I didn't turn on one key setting in my model-driven app. So before we get to turning on that setting, let's go ahead and set up the notification so that way, even if the setting is off, we could still potentially get them. And then when the setting turns on, we can get them again. All right, here is the only parameter that you need to set up your toast notifications, as they're known, because they, pong, toast. All right, you need to have a title. Now, I'm gonna show you what this looks like, but this title is gonna be like the main thing that you wanna just get a quick glimpse of and know what's happening, like free puppies, I guess. Now for the body, that's gonna be a bit more detail. Sometimes you might need to click to open all of the body, but really you're gonna provide more detail there. Now it's either gonna be one of 2 values. It's going to be 2 million or 2,000,001. Now, what's the difference between the two of them? 2 million is just a normal notification. 2,000,001 is the highest level of notification. So Imagine you have like a stack of notifications. All this will do is take your notification, which normally would pop in at the bottom, and bring it all the way to the top, setting it to the highest priority. Now you have 5 different icon types you can work with. You have information, success, error, warning, and a mention notification. Now, depending on which one you want to choose, that's up to you. But I'm choosing a success notification, 1,000,001. Now, the type of notification is going to be one of 2 types. You're going to either have a hidden notification or, as it's aptly named, a toast notification, because you know, toast. So, if you want the notification to pop out and be visible to your users, you're going to go with 2 million. If you want your notification just to kind of just slightly appear in the notification center, you're going to choose 2,000,001. And the expiry there, that is just how long in seconds until the notification is gone forever. Now, that does not mean it doesn't get stored somewhere in those seconds, but after those seconds are up, the notification is gone pretty much forever. So, this is what I want to put in. Whenever they save the record, I want them to be able to see, hey, changes have been submitted. And let's say for my case, any changes that are happening to the account have to be submitted for approval. Now, I don't have a flow set up for this, but just for the sake of an example. All right, what I'm gonna do is on the form itself, on save, I'm gonna add an event handler. This one is going to be pw loadapro dot actions dot add toast notif. Now, here's the slightly different part. You don't need to pass in the execution context this time. I know I tell you to do it every other time, but for this one, you actually don't need to, because it's not reliant upon what's happening in the form aside from it being saved. Now, for this one, we can ignore the execution context. Again, don't check the box. All you have to do is pass in your parameters here. I'm gonna paste mine in. Now, it's okay to have the spaces in there if you do or if you don't. I'm gonna remove mine just because it makes it easier to look at all at once. And, whoop, that's not, we wanna keep the R for approval. All right. And there we go. So, with it looking a little bit less pretty, that's what that looks like. All right, I'm going to hit done. Again, do not check the past execution context. I know I tell you to always do it, but for this one, it's fine. All right, hit done. And this one, we can save and publish. All right. And by the way, if you want to, there is a loaded function. So that way, if you want to pass in 2 things, if that was super high of a jump, you can pass in a notification function and a field to specify that notification function on. So for this one, I have my message for my notification, and then the field I want to keep an eye on is credit on hold and whether or not the value is true. That's it. All right. That is saved and published. And now, one thing we have to do, let's back out of the form, save and publish my changes again, because for some reason it's yelling at me. Back out of this form. Very important that you do this. Up at the top, go to your settings. And then I want you to go into features. And then you're gonna look for, let's see. In-app notifications right here, okay? Make sure to check this to yes. This is the box you're gonna check instead of your execution context. Turn on the in-app notifications. Now you can turn this off at an environment level or turn it on at an environment level, but by default it is turned off. I hit save. I wait for it to load. We stare at a circle for 10 minutes. All right. And now all I have to do is hit play and we can take a look. Now that we're in our application, we are going to go ahead and add a new account. I have my global notification up here, nice and hanging out. If I set the account name to test, I get my first notification. Credit hold of yes, I have my second notification. And if I go ahead and save this now, I'm going to get my third notification in about a second here. Boom, your changes have been submitted for approval. Now this will stay here for about 5 seconds. Now it will live on in my notification center here. Now this is basically all the notifications I've been getting. Every time I save a record, this is what pops up here. These ones from an hour ago, these are from me testing. So, all right. There are 3 ways to set up your notifications, and I've shown you all 3. Now, go, run, take your code, and flee before the execution context finds you. Also, if you are looking for the resources for this video, things like the solution file, the markdown, all of that, that will be in the description for you. Now, I do have one quick question before we leave, so just let me know what you guys want to see in the comments down below. Well, that is me. I am Ace, which I should have said up top, but I will see you guys in the next Load Pro. Happy coding!